Hey there, another week, another video. Today we'll be putting up against each other the top 10 best Roblox Final Fantasy games for 2021. Hi, this is Roblox Olympics and the game is on. But before we head straight into the video, I would need you to answer this question. What's the previous company name of Square ENIX? The answer is hidden somewhere in this video. The correct answer will have a shout out from us, of course, on the next video. Alright, let's get started. Fantasy Unleashed. Fantasy Unleashed is currently going under development and testing. The game is currently closed for a game test, but this is an exciting Final Fantasy game. Fantasy Unleashed features a standardized RPG adventure game. As an RPG adventure game, it has all the elements of an RPG, like dungeons, EXPs, a polished crafting system, farming mobs, and bosses and all those other mobs. And of course, a nice player versus player mode. Right now, it's a PvE game, but since the introduction of a PvP mode, there will be a lot more than just simple PvE. The game has amazing animations, effects, and importantly, a map. The environment is pretty nice and quite big as an open world game. There are various locations to explore and a lot of NPCs to interact with. Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII is basically a Roblox game based on one of the best-selling Final Fantasy franchise games. Final Fantasy VII. You're going to be playing as the younger version of Cloud Strife through a morphing system. Available in the game, you'll spawn in a place with a lot of hills and a castle. Around these castles are zombies, and there are a lot of them. You'll be using a standard sword in this game to slay these zombies. I still have no idea why Cloud would be slaying zombies, but yeah, it's that kind of game. Final Fantasy World. Final Fantasy World is a game where you can test most of the major weapons in the franchise. Basically, this is a free roam fighting game. I still have no idea why there's a lot of free roam fighting games as of recently. I guess it's just easier to build a game from a popular series or franchise and turn into another generic fighting game. But this game is just fine. You're going to be spawning in a terrain base plate with a bridge or another terrain base plate. The entire place is filled with the entire fighting arena. Players may kill each other in this game, plus there are morphs too. You can morph yourself into Cloud Strife as well. Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI is yet another RPG, of course, as an RPG game. You'll have the same tropes inside of an RPG game, like fighting and grinding. So, in this game you have to kill zombies using various weapons like a staff or a sword. You need to get some fighting gear in order to level up and fight and get some gold, which you can use to purchase item. It's a simple game, farm/grind, level up, buy new stuff, get stronger. The staff you can use in this game allows you to cast spells. As for the sword, you know the drill. Another thing is to add that you can also purchase armors to increase your protection. There are also various zones in the game, but you'll have to reach a certain level to access them. Final Fantasy VII Roleplay. Final Fantasy VII Roleplay, as you might have guessed it already, is a role-playing game. Be sure there are no objectives and all, but it's still a pretty fun game to play with. In this game, you can morph yourself into various Final Fantasy characters, including Cloud Strife, Sephiroth, Zack, Aerith, Tifa, Genesis, and many more. This game is set in Midgar, the setting of the Final Fantasy VII game. You can relive the memories of when Aerith was stabbed and explore the church, Northern Cave, Seventh Heaven, and the entirety of Midgar itself. Final Fantasy Roblox Edition. Finally, a better game than the previous ones I've mentioned. Final Fantasy Roblox Edition is, yes, an RPG, but that's okay since you're not going to be slashing your friends or monsters. You're going to be slashing monsters everywhere and purge the land of the evil that's been plaguing it. Level up to defeat your enemies and flex on them losers with your battle theme song. Okay, this game might be generic since it's yet another free roam fighting game, but that's okay. There are barely unique games in Roblox. You'll have access to a sword, a lantern, and a bow with unlimited arrows. Explore a series of places that have big terrain and environmental design. DISSIDIA Final Fantasy 012. Oh boy, this game is quite good. Not the best, but it's playable. Dissidia Final Fantasy 012 is an RPG adventure game where you can earn gold, buy swords, learn magic, and of course, farm like crazy in the dungeons of the game. I was actually hoping that this game was at least a melee fighting game, but aight. Final Fantasy Last War. Last War is a fighting game where you can morph into the 5 main protagonists of the series: Fawn of 12, Titus of X, Squall of 8, Cloud of 7, and Bash of 12. Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is an endless fighting game where you're going to be fighting zombies and goblins everywhere using a bazooka, bow, sniper rifle, and 2 magical swords. There are a lot of hostile NPCs in the terrain map, but there are big zombies as well, the king and the boss. Be careful. Final Fantasy VII. Basically, this is a battle obby where you're going to be fighting with each other's obbies and you'll come across, which are all Final Fantasy themed. Alright, that's it for now. I hope you guys enjoy these games, and don't forget to tick the notification bell once you're subscribed here on the channel. Hit like and comment if you enjoy our content. Until next time, Roblox Olympics out.